Hey everyone, Brian Zane here. Backlash! Holy shit, what a show. Let's get right down to it. Fun little match in the pre-show as the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner Baron Corbin takes on the 1999 Sacramento School District Spelling Bee champion Apollo Crews. Fun little match. Very interesting to see this match and see where these two guys are on the totem pole in their career trajectories so far, especially in the last year, because in the last couple of months it's been very obvious, very apparent that Apollo Crews, the bloom seems to have fallen off the rose a bit. With Baron Corbin, it feels like he's been aimless for a bit longer because he won the Battle Royal at WrestleMania, then he had the feud with Dolph Ziggler that never ended, and then he bullied Kalisto for a few weeks on Smackdown recently, and that seemed to fizzle out. So other than that, they're like, what's going on with Baron Corbin? So this match helped, in my opinion, establish where each guy is from here forward. Baron Corbin winning with the end of days. Again, Apollo Crews losing clean. Not a good look for him. This guy who's got this great look and he's built out of granite and he's jobbing clean to people like The Miz and Baron Corbin and stuff. Again, good match and both guys looked good ultimately, but in the end, Crews losing clean. It's not a good look for him. TV shows do this a lot where they will acknowledge a common complaint about the show in a fun little joke, which is what happened in the pre-show promo between Crews and Corbin with Daniel Bryan in the middle of it. But here's the thing, when you acknowledge the problem, it's not the same thing as fixing it. And so right now the problem with Apollo Crews, they're giving him this cheesy spelling thing going on. They're making a joke out of it. But them acknowledging it is not the same thing as fixing it, which is to get rid of it. The show officially opens up with the six-pack elimination challenge to see who will become the first SmackDown Women's Championship match. And this one was really fun. First of all, very refreshing to see these six women and not in a tag team format like we've seen for the last umpteen weeks on SmackDown as part of the build. I'd say the two biggest performers for me in this match were Alexa Bliss and Naomi. Alexa Bliss was just a house of fire the whole match. The stuff she was doing, the big knees into the abdomen of Naomi when Naomi had it in the bridge doing the arm submission there, and that looked brutal. I mean, Alexa Bliss worked really hard in this match, which made it all the more disappointing that she was eliminated first. I didn't expect her to win, but I didn't expect her to be eliminated first overall. I was very surprised, again, just how last week when Carmella beat Nikki Bella clean by submission in the tag match, I was even more surprised that she also beat Nikki Bella and eliminated her in the match. And I think a lot of people were kind of fearing that Nikki Bella was going to be the winner of the match and the first champion now that she's back on TV. Not to be the case. They're obviously going to continue this feud between Carmella and Nikki Bella going forward. Very interesting to see where that goes, and hopefully they can branch off and do their own thing while the other four women in the division do their own thing. Even Marie's coming back. That's very interesting to see where she's going to play into all this. But anyway, the finish was, Becky Lynch coming back and making Carmella tap out to disarm her, becoming the first ever SmackDown Women's Champion. Great moment for Becky Lynch. I loved it. No one right now in that roster, in my opinion, is more deserving. They've really done a good job building her up as this underdog character. It was great to see Becky Lynch finally get this championship and be acknowledged for her contributions and for what she's done in WWE. It's kind of like a Lifetime Achievement Award almost, considering how long she's been in the business. And she definitely reflected that journey in her post-match promo. But again, great feeling, great moment to see her win the championship. Great way to officially start off the show. The Usos taking on the Hype Bros in a second chance challenge to see who would face Heath, Slater, or Rhyno in the finals of the tag tournament. I thought, when I think about it, look back on it, the way they booked that whole series of events last week with the Usos turning heel and injuring American Alpha, I thought it was actually pretty brilliant because, as it stood on its own, American Alpha versus Slater and Rhyno would have been kind of a difficult situation because no matter who wins, somebody really loses ultimately. You can't really have American Alpha. It can't be face versus face. That's the first problem. Second of all, Heath Slater's job is on the line. So if American Alpha wins, then Heath Slater loses. That's kind of an anticlimactic end to that storyline. Then again, if Heath Slater and Rhyno beat American Alpha, kind of kills their push. So the way that they booked this with the Usos taking American Alpha out was pretty brilliant because the Usos turn heel. It was a much needed heel turn. It makes American Alpha, they're taken off TV without being made to look weak. They still look strong in beating the Usos in short fashion, and so there's a chance for them to have a rematch down the line. So anyway, yes, the build to what they have now. Also, it gave Backlash an extra match, which is needed because they didn't have that many matches to begin with on the card. So it was very, very creative booking how they did this. Very brilliant, in my opinion. The Usos, they're bad men now, giving bad men bad looks, dressing amongst thieves and crooks. They were very super heelish, even winning with a submission. You don't see that very often out of the Usos there. They made Zack Ryder tap out, and they advanced in an extra heelish way to the finals. Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz defending against Dolph Ziggler in what I thought was a terrific match. It's so funny because the whole argument against the Miz is he fights like a coward. He fights this old style that is so passé in the world of WWE today with the more high impact, high risk style. And I think what this match was to me was just them going like boom right to those people who made those complaints. I thought it was hilarious because it was a slow paced match. It was very old school in that way. It was kind of a slower paced match. It picked up near the end, but it was just it was a Miz style match. It was a 2008 style WWE match. The style has evolved so much in the last 3 years. That's the kind of match you had, just like 3-4 years ago. And now it's so much different. So it's like a blast from the past kind of thing. The crowd in Richmond was hot for this match. They were hot for the whole show, really. So, they told a really good story. That was the best part for me. It was told a really great story in the build and in the match itself. Maurice getting involved, spraying Dolph Ziggler. I don't know if it was arrogance or if it was mace or what it was, but The Miz ultimately winning in a devilish, devious, heelish fashion, which is great for him. And it makes Dolph Ziggler. He looked strong, and he didn't lose like a chump. He didn't lose clean like he did to Ambrose last month at SummerSlam. But I swear to God, they didn't do Ziggler any favor in the build, especially in the pre-show. Lawler had a line which is, 4 years ago yesterday, I had cardiac arrest on live and died on live TV, and just before that, I beat Dolph Ziggler in a match. So I was practically dead when I beat Ziggler. That's not a good look for a guy who's supposed to be a conquering hero taking on The Miz. Where does Dolph Ziggler go from here? Because he was saying a whole bunch of commentary last week in the build. If he loses this match, he has to rethink things. But where does The Miz go from here? Because right before this match, they had a whole segment with him and Daniel Bryan, and they were getting each other's face again. So where is this going? Is Daniel Bryan coming out of retirement to fight The Miz? Like, how much more are they going to keep doing this thing where The Miz and Daniel Bryan are going to be facing off? Even though I thought the rumor was that they're being separated after The Miz going too far and talking smack. So what's the deal with that? I'm really curious to see what happens with The Miz and Daniel Bryan. Before Backlash started this evening, a fan tweeted me asking if I knew anything about the rumor that Randy Orton was not medically cleared to compete at Backlash, so they were going to find some mystery opponent to replace him. I was like, I don't know. I mean, if you're asking me, I don't have an in with the company. I don't know how these rumors work. But, I think there might have been some validity to that rumor, considering that earlier the night at Backlash, Bray Wyatt took out Randy Orton in a backstage assault, attacking the leg. So maybe there is some truth to that. I don't know. But then, of course, they announced a replacement opponent for Bray Wyatt in a no-holds-barred match against Kane. I think Kane was really the best solution as far as a mystery opponent to face Bray Wyatt because no one else would have been good. They could have had, Samoa Joe or some other NXT person called up to face Wyatt, but that would have been a no-win situation because if Wyatt lost, it would have been annoying. And if the NXT person lost, then that would have killed all their momentum. Luke Harper, a lot of people on Twitter were saying Luke Harper should have come out. I don't think he's cleared to return yet. He's been working out at the Performance Center last I read, but he's not actually cleared to return after his ACL tear. So really, I guess Kane is the best choice here. It was actually a really good match, considering, Kane hasn't been used that much in that high of a capacity lately. He's been kind of an afterthought, but this match was really good. I think both Wyatt and Kane looked amazing. I liked the senton that Wyatt gave Kane to the table. Kane taking a big table bump in 2016. I know, crazy. The crowd, again, the crowd loved this match. They loved it. No Orton, no problem. Wyatt and Kane worked a great match. The crowd was hot for it. Orton coming out at the end. For some reason, he took off his shirt and his pants, but kept the vest. I didn't get that. But he basically ran in there and gave Wyatt an RKO, allowing Kane to pick up what is undoubtedly the biggest win of at least this year for him. Biggest win for Kane in quite some time. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like Wyatt, he lost the match, but it was due to outside interference. He doesn't look weak losing to Kane because Kane did look strong in this match, and Kane is usually built to be kind of strong. And then, of course, he had Orton interfere against him. So he has a reason, he has an excuse. So this is obviously, I think, going to build in some kind of rematch, some kind of continuation of the feud going into No Mercy in October. The finals of the tag team title tournament as Heath, Slater, and Rhyno took on the Usos, who defeated the Hype Bros earlier in the night to get the shot in the finals. I didn't have a whole lot of notes for this match, other than that it was a very positive experience watching it. It wasn't an amazing match, but it was still a really strong showing by both teams. I loved the double suplex onto Heath Slater into the steel ring post covering. I feel them adding those shells to the ring post has opened up a whole new world of spots for these wrestlers, and you'll see about more later in the night. But yeah, this is a really fun fun match. Heath, Slater, and Rhyno winning. Very good feeling to see this ending in the match. This is honestly one of the best payoffs I've seen to like a mid to lower card storyline in a long time. Because it started out kind of like almost as an afterthought, like Heath Slater not getting drafted. Haha, you know, funny, goofy Heath Slater getting jobbed out again. But this actually built organically into this really fun storyline to watch, seeing him bob back and forth between Raw and SmackDown, and then focusing more on SmackDown, trying to get a shot there, and then every match was a must-win for him in the tournament. First, he couldn't even find a partner. Even Arn Anderson turned him down. Then Rhyno comes in like this shining beacon, this white knight saving him, and then they work out together, and they become, you know, this cohesive team, and they defy the odds to become new tag team champions. It was a great feeling to see that, you know. But I do have a caveat. My prediction as to what's going to happen on Tuesday: they're going to have a rematch with the Usos, and they're going to lose the belts to the Usos, and that's going to accomplish a lot of things. See, they had their cake and eat it too, because Heath Slater won on Sunday, got to get his contract, so he's good there. Then the Usos win on Tuesday, and they get their heel heat by stealing the thunder from Heath Slater and Rhyno. They have a nice heel run with the tag team titles, and there you have it. That's my prediction. Main event time as Dean Ambrose defended the WWE World Championship against AJ Styles in a barn burner of a match. In terms of style and pace, this match was the complete opposite of Miz and Ziggler earlier in the night, but both matches were excellent in my opinion. And this one just to me was so intense. I think that, you know, the issue with Ambrose is a lot of people have been kind of souring on Ambrose as a world champion. And that's kind of unfortunate, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've taken all the things that made him fun and they kind of like cut it out. So now like he was the crazy ass, you know, insane person who came out, you know, with the hot dog cart, and he was wreaking havoc and everything, coming out of the ambulance and all that stuff. He was wild and crazy when he was chasing the belt. And now that he is the champion, they really mellowed him out. And he does the occasional funny things. He wears the big hats and he, you know, crotches AJ Styles on the ropes and shakes his hand and stuff. That's fine, but I feel like they could have done a lot more with him in this crazy top base kind of thing, more chaotic in a way, very much like Steve Austin when he was on top. A lot of really cool spots in this match that I just loved. I loved AJ doing the knee drop in the back of Ambrose's leg in the corner. That looked sick. And then Ambrose's sell was amazing. It made it look like, oh my God, my leg is broken. Oh my God, the slingshot into the steel ring post covering, like I mentioned, you know, they're doing spots on those things now, and boy, it looks so cool when it happens now. Slingshot on the apron into the ring post, that was amazing. Ambrose's counter out of the calf crusher, grabbing Styles' head and slamming it into the mat. Like this match was like both guys like fighting and clawing for everything. Like they both wanted it so bad, you could tell. Ultimately, Ambrose lost the championship to AJ Styles. AJ Styles making Mike the Maleficent Love Machine proud and demanding a royalty check because Styles took Ambrose to Dick Kick City. Styles clash, and Styles is your new WWE champion. What on earth is happening right now in WWE? If you told me a year ago that your top 3 champions in the company would be AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Shinsuke Nakamura, I would never have believed you, because it's this weird, bizarre universe now. You know, it was like that whole old guard of like Cena and all those guys, like it seems to be like totally in the dust, because now we have this new upper card, top tier level of guys that are complete opposite of what we've seen for the last like 5-10 years. And I don't know what to make of it. I mean, is this real life? Is this just fantasy? It's really hard to take in, but at the same time, I don't want to take it for granted. You know, I don't want to keep denying it. This is what we have now. The main event scene is looking pretty good at the moment in WWE. And, you know, say what you will, you know, the announcers immediately started saying, oh, is this going to affect his legacy, winning after the low blow? Yeah, you know, it's the same complaint fans had about Kevin Owens winning, even though Triple H helped. So what? It's an amazing moment. These guys who no one ever thought would be WWE champion becoming WWE champion. Mr. TNA, AJ Styles, becoming WWE champion. I can't think of the last time that ever happened. The closest thing was Christian coming back from TNA and becoming the ECW champion. Woohoo! But to me, I don't think there's ever been an equivalent of that since TNA's been around. It's madness. And so I think we are in a very good point right now with the main event scene in the company. And yeah, what a great moment to cap off an awesome match. If you can't tell from the gushing I've been doing earlier in this review, my grade for Backlash 2016 is a solid grade. For the first time that I can remember watching a pay-per-view, every single person who won, in my opinion, was the right person to win. Every match, even the pre-show that nobody cares about, the right person won every single match. Every conclusion was a feel-good thing, like Slater and Rhyno winning, and Becky Lynch winning, and AJ Styles winning. You might have mixed feelings because Ambrose, you might have liked him as champion. Styles might have won dirty, but all the right people won. And I think that's the first time I can remember any pay-per-view I've watched, especially in the last year, that happening. This was one of the best, most satisfying pay-per-views I've watched in a long time. It was basically Smackdown at 3 hours and just less promos, and that's not a bad thing. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Backlash. Awesome pay-per-view, miles ahead, miles beyond what SummerSlam was. Had way more time at SummerSlam, 2 extra hours, and a lot more filler, and a lot more crap. But man, Backlash just knocked it out of the park. Great way to start off the new era of brand-exclusive pay-per-views in this new, revived brand split era we live in today. Real quick before I go, I do want to talk a little bit about the CM Punk Mickey Gall match from UFC 203 on Saturday. All I'll say is, first of all, props to CM Punk. Even though he got destroyed, I think he took it all in stride. His post-match speech at the end I thought was very positive and uplifting. I don't think we'll see the end of CM Punk in the UFC, but I can't imagine if he loses again and again, it's not going to be too well for him. Brock Lesnar, started out kind of sputtery start in the UFC as well too. So again, that's apples and oranges, but it's not the worst thing to happen to CM Punk. It's just disappointing. All that hype led to that. At least with professional wrestling, you'll see a nice back and forth story and it won't go less than 2 minutes for a match that hyped. But yeah, it was what it was, and it's unfortunate that CM Punk lost, but hopefully he can learn from that and maybe not get squashed so easily next time. But anyway, folks, let me know what you thought about Backlash in the comments section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.